Welcome back to Shoujo, your favorite shoujo anime recap podcast, where I, Sarah, introduce my good friend Joe to all the girly things that shoujo anime entails. Although our first series, Angelic Layer, is
owns
easing us in. Yes, this will be
it whips. It's so good. These episodes are so good.
A jam-packed episode of shoujo and Angelic Layer together. So, what have you been up to, Joe, in the 2 days since we last recorded?
Okay, I'm going to Vegas this week. That's why. Normally we record these like once every week, right? So it's like when we release it, it's only a couple days out from when we record it, except for this one, which we recorded like 2 days after we recorded the last one because I'm going to go to Vegas for a birthday.
You're going to go crazy.
4 days. I'm going to go crazy.
Get wild.
Every time I go to Vegas now, I just remember this one time I read a nonfiction book about gambling machines and how they're made. It's called Addiction by Design. I should pull up the author because it's actually very good. But it's all about how like gambling machines are like designed to prey upon people that are addicted or that have like that are potential for gambling addictions, and they are like scientifically designed to keep those people spending as much money as possible. And it is like the actual like I don't know if there's real evil in the world. However, I think dedicating an entire branch of research on how to exploit a certain population of people is like the closest you can probably get to it.
That's pretty bad. Yeah. Vegas. It sounds like a nightmare to me. I don't want to gamble my money. Like, oh God, it would stress me out so much. I've never gone. If anyone can be good and win, it's you, Joe.
Yeah, no, you can't win. That's the whole thing. I know enough about math to know I'm not going to win this. The book is called Addiction by Design by Natasha Dahl-Schul. Good. You should read it.
You think our listeners are going to read it? They're going to be super.
They're going to read a nonfiction book about gambling machines? I think they should. I mean, I do, and I like this show. Just be like me. I think people should be trying new stuff.
Yeah.
I am big on this now, like, because I listen to podcasts and like random stuff, and people will give recommendations for things. Like I got this off of a recommendation, and it's like weird things I normally wouldn't run into, but then you test them out and you're like, that's actually really interesting. I think that's where I get the most interesting stuff, actually, is just like random one-off. Somebody recommended a thing that sounded like not up my alley at all, so I'll just give it a shot.
You're so open-minded.
Otherwise you just get the same thing over and over and over again. You start to get bored of it.
No,
I normally watch that hour-long math video.
Don't trust anyone but myself for what I would like. Or my sister. I trust my sister's recommendations, but not many others.
Watch my math video I sent you.
Absolutely not. Never. Never, ever.
About Hackenbush? Come on.
Hell no.
Maybe it'll change your life.
No.
So, yeah, it's been like 3 days since we recorded last.
Luckily, last time we recorded, I forgot to mention something I'd been doing. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I like to keep some kind of show running in the background while I work just because I need something. I can't just work. I need something else stimulating my mind at the same time because a lot of my work is visual. So I started rewatching this series called Heroes, which I don't know if you're familiar with it, Joe. It was like a show in 2006, I think, that had a few seasons. The first one being the best one. I think it kind of goes downhill, and then there's like a jump the shark moment in one of the seasons where it's just like, oh God, what's happening? But the first season is very good. It's got like Hayden Panettiere. It's like people, genetic, blah, blah, blah. People are starting to have powers and they're all kind of interconnected and like they have to prevent this big accident from happening, and it's good. I like it. So I've just been rewatching that. Like the first season's so good. I just remember how bad it gets. So I don't know at what point I'll be stopping. But yeah, recommend the first season at least.
Yeah, I've heard of that show, but I never watched it. And then people said it jumps the shark, so I never thought to go back and watch it.
But the first season is very good. Like
is it worth going back to?
100%. Because it's like none of the, it's 2006, but some like CGI scenes of like destruction of Manhattan are kind of badly aged effects wise. It is a TV show though, so it probably didn't look that good at the time. But all the powers and stuff look pretty good. And there's like, greater scale mission, but also each person has their own personal issues they're juggling, and then they all are like, oh God, what's wrong with me? Why can I fly? Or why can I read minds? Or one guy in particular is super jazzed about it. He like can manipulate time and teleport and stuff, and his name's Hiro, like Hiro, from Japan, and he's all like, this is what I was born to do, and blah blah blah, and he's super into
Is this like around the same time when like Smallville was popular?
Probably. I feel yeah.
I didn't watch that either.
I tried. I couldn't. I couldn't. I mean, because this isn't based off of, characters you're already familiar with. I thoroughly enjoyed it, or am re-enjoying it. Yeah, but that's what I've been up to. You've been, yep.
So I was watching my friend's dog this weekend, so I didn't get to do as much stuff as I normally do.
I was watching my mom's dogs and cats. They're all nutcases.
I had to spend more time outside, which I hate.
Ugh.
But I did have the time to play 2 pretty quick visual novels.
Ugh.
The first one is Milk Inside a Bag of Milk Inside a Bag of Milk, which is a very short visual novel. It's classified as a psychological horror visual novel. I mean, it probably takes like 15 minutes to beat. It's like pretty easy. You can get it on Steam, you can get it on itch. It's like really good. You're in the perspective of a girl who is going to the grocery store to pick up a bag of milk. This is a kind of introspective. She has like some severe trauma and psychosis, and basically you are the role of the medication that she has took, and it has kicked in. And so she's having a dialogue with you describing her going on this trip to the store to buy milk. It is like you are able to make some decisions about, like, you can respond to what she's saying. You can give her directions. You can be encouraging. You can be disparaging. There's a lot of different things you can do. But it's just kind of interesting to see how the way this game was made, or not made, but like the way that it presents things and the way that the kind of narrative plays out is very interesting.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. It's really, if you just want to try it, I think it's like a couple bucks. It's like 15 or 20 minutes or so. It's like a really fun thing. The sequel game, Milk Outside a Bag of Milk Outside a Bag of Milk, just like plays on the same thing. It has higher production value, so you actually get like cutscene stuff, action going on. It's like it turns into like a point and click adventure game for a little bit. That one's probably like an hour to 2 hours, depending on like how much time you spend with it. They're just like a really nice story that kind of talks about, like a scenario of mental health and what it's like going through that. And there are certain things about how like it doesn't just like resolve at the end, and it's introspective and interesting, and there's like some like very imaginative things going on in it, and it was cool. And the visuals are really nice. I mean, there are like horror elements to it, so if you're not into that, just be wary about that.
I mean, it's a visual novel, so it's just more...
It's a visual novel. I mean, it's playing in that space, right?
Based fear, I guess, not visually.
Yeah, but it's really cool. I've been thinking about it a lot since I played it.
Got Joe thinking.
Milk outside a bag. Milk inside a bag. Thinking about
peculiar
how other people experience reality.
Titles.
It's good. Check it out.
Well, I guess you want to just get into it with Angelic Layer? Yeah, we got a lot to get into. Yeah, you were like...
really fucking good.
They're incredible.
Episodes.
Yep.
We have some good episodes.
Yeah, we do. I'm so excited for the next ones. I can't
believe this is the halfway point.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, forget about silly me in the past. Thought the last episode was our halfway episode.
Actually, this episode I'm about to recap is the halfway point.
Yep.
All right. So, here we go.
Take it away.
Angelic Layer episode 13 is called The Pure White Blanche, Kaede's Smile. We open on a snowy winter night where a delivery man delivers a gigantic stuffed penguin to a woman who we find out is Kaede's maid. Apparently, the penguin is from someone in her dad's company, and Kaede gets sent things like this a lot. Attached to the penguin is an Angelic Layer egg, because I guess this is Kaede's backstory. In the bath, Kaede opens the egg and reluctantly agrees to be this angel's mom, because this angel, like Kaede, is motherless. She names her Blanche as the OP plays. After the OP, we cut to the present. Her father has come home and is making breakfast. They sit down and eat, and her dad tells her that he's going to support her at the Angelic Layer contest, even though he doesn't really get what it is. But he is surprised to learn that his daughter likes fighting games. Kaede says that Blanche is the one fighting, and she just supports her as her mother, which makes her dad look uncomfortable.
And us.
We cut to the Shoko residence, where Misaki is surprised to find Aunt Shoko cooking breakfast for Misaki's big day at the tournament. While they eat breakfast, Shoko Shoko says that if Misaki wins today, she can see Shuko because she's going to be going to the site. Misaki is very excited about seeing her mom and hopes that her mom isn't overworking herself. The doorbell rings and it's Kotaro, Tamayo, and Haruko. Kotaro introduces himself very formally because he's worried about meeting Misaki's family. Misaki introduces the gang to Aunt Shoko and they all recognize her from TV. Shoko teases Kotaro and Misaki about their date, and then her and Tamayo do a comedy bit. Then they all set off to the tournament. On the way, Tamayo asks Misaki why she's so happy this morning, but Misaki decides to keep the news about Shuko a secret. Elsewhere, Shuko and Shoko are talking on the phone. Shoko tells her that if Misaki keeps winning, they're gonna meet at the tournament. And maybe this isn't the best way to meet your daughter after like 5 years of being absent, but Shuko doesn't seem to understand, and Shoko hangs up. At the tournament, Misaki is getting nervous, but a helpful Kaede shows up and starts talking to Misaki as Blanche, like a puppet. She has like a little puppet voice, and then she smiles, and like, it's kind of cute, I guess. Then Misaki tells Hikaru that they can see her mom if she wins, and we see a no longer smiling Kaede in the distance because she's not going to see her mom if she wins. This is my final starts. With a reintroduction of all the 4 remaining contestants, we learn that Misaki has a group of kindergartners cheering for her for some reason, even though Haruko is the other kindergartner, but whatever. Shuko is being driven to the tournament, but she panics last minute and decides to go back to the hospital. At the tournament, the new layer system is revealed to the crowd that projects environments for angels to fight in. In the control room, Ichan and Shoko talk about the new system. Inada comes in and tells them that Shuko backed out and she can't demo the new system, so Ojiro volunteers to demo it with Wizard instead. We see the demo where Wizard is like in a canyon fighting a bunch of ninjas or something. Ichan speculates that they pushed Shuko too hard during the testing and that's why she backed out, but Shoko says that she's just running away again. The announcer announces the first match will be Misaki versus Kaede. In the waiting room, Misaki examines Blanche and comments that both her and Hikaru are lightweight types, but Blanche feels a little different than Hikaru. Kaede explains that Blanche was the first angel sold, and that she's her mother. Misaki says that's cool, and she thinks of herself as being friends with Hikaru. Shoko comes in and waves Misaki over. With her gone, Sai approaches Kaede and says it's too bad that Misaki has a weak point, but Kaede says that Blanche used to have it too, but she's gotten over it now. In the hall, Shoko tells Misaki that Shuko is going to be too busy working to see her and that she feels bad for getting her hopes up. Misaki says it's alright, and that she pretty much expected this anyway, and then she runs off to start the first match. The match begins, but Misaki is looking around to see maybe if Shoko is watching in the crowd. Not Shoko, sorry. See maybe if Shuko is watching in the crowd, but she's not. Hikaru and Blanche enter the lair, which is set up to be like a bunch of stone pillars over this like misty abyss. The match starts, but Misaki is still looking around, and Haruko has to remind her that the match started. The battle actually begins, but Hikaru can't land any hits because Blanche is just as quick as she is. The announcer says that only 4 deises have ever been able to hit Blanche before, and that 2 of them are Haruko and Sai. Misaki is still distracted, and Kaede asks her what's up, and then Misaki apologizes. The battle continues, and Hikaru is able to finally land a hit on Blanche by vaulting off a pillar and kicking her from below. Kaede, however, is not bothered and is smiling the whole time. Hikaru lands some more light hits, and Kotaro comments that Kaede seems just fine, like she's letting Blanche get hit. Misaki also notices this, but doesn't know what to make of it. Sai, Ojiro, and Haruko all comment that Blanche is accumulating damage, which is going to make her more powerful, because it turns out her gimmick is taking damage and then converting it into power later by going into hyper mode. Blanche goes into hyper mode, and when she does, she glows golden and flies around, and she can kick really hard, and she slams Hikaru into a pillar as we cut to credits.
Bum, bum, bum. Star mode, like Super Mario.
There's so much, like, stuff. These 2 summaries I have are extremely long. I added a lot of stuff in there for like things that happen in the next episode. Like I had to go back and edit this episode to add more things.
Yeah, Kaede, freaking fancy pants over there with her dad.
Rich dad.
Employees sending her toys.
But no mom.
No mom, which she's very fixated on and real weird about.
Well, I mean, you know, she's not a mom.
I guess.
I mean, it is interesting how like she focuses on that. But, like, Misaki, we have never mentioned anything about her dad, ever.
It is weird.
It is a little weird.
Speaking of dads, the mustache.
But you can only have so much parent trauma at once, you know?
That's right.
Over limited here. Kaede's dad, is he the first example of a good parent we've seen on screen?
I think so.
He's just like a nice guy. He's like making breakfast for his daughter. He's like, yeah, I'll go to your game. I don't really get this game, but I'll be there to support you.
I guess so.
There we go. One good parent on the board. The CEO of a company. Cool.
Yeah. So we learned that Nationals is the next step after this is the Kanto game. So after this, there's Nationals, of which I mean, Tokyo is huge, so they probably just had to divide that greater area a lot more than other places.
Yeah. Well, they say specifically like which prefecture or whatever everyone's from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
And like Sai and Kaede are from the same place.
Yeah. Okay, but as soon as Shoko tells Misaki, like, hey, your mom might be there, she's just super excited. Like,
she's so excited.
Is there no processing? There's like no negative association with your mom or like why? No questions? Like, oh, why is she going to be there now? And because she knows Shoko has open communication with her mom. Why didn't she just ask like, oh, hey, could I talk to my mom too, maybe?
Yeah, I don't like, she knows she's doing something important. That's like, she knows she's working on something important. That's basically the extent of what we get about Misaki's feelings about her mom right now.
Yeah.
Okay, can I mention something from the previous scene with Blanche and Kaede?
Yep.
Okay, when Kaede and her dad and her maid are all eating breakfast together, it pans over to Blanche sitting on a couch on the table that they're eating at. Blanche has her own seat at the table.
Yeah, they're fancy. They can afford that.
It's cool.
Oh, boy. Yes, I know. The scene where Kotaro is all nervous at the door, something is said that I was like, OMG. Are they referring to? I think they're referring to. I don't know if you caught it or not.
I did not catch this.
Okay.
What?
So Shoko asks, like, oh, how was the date? Blah, blah, blah. They're both like, no, it wasn't a date. And then Tomoyo says something along the lines of, like, don't worry. I'm saving Misaki's first time for me. And then Shoko says, no, I want her first time to be with me. And I'm like, what?
There's no way they said that. I'm going back.
Time.
There's no possible way they said that.
100%. They said that.
I'm pulling it up. I'm pulling the episode up.
Oh, my God.
I cannot believe you just said this to me.
This is what they said. And I was like, oh, my God. Are they talking about deflowering her?
No, this is not what it said.
Yeah. It is.
I'm gonna stream it to you right now. Here we go.
Okay.
Share my screen.
Well, I have the official DVDs, so we'll see.
I have the official deal.
Okay, let's see. See?
Okay, yeah, this is on the screen. I've got Misaki's first time reserved to myself. That's not right. Hold on. This is not what I read. I did not read this.
That's what it
Are you kidding me?
What are they talking about? I've got Misaki cheese first time reserved for myself. And then Auntie being like, no, nah, me. Oh, dear.
I have to look up what this word means. What'd she say, Saisho?
I don't know. I guess a continuation of them fighting over Misaki because she can cook and blah, blah, blah. Although Aunt Shoko did cook in this episode, of which I was like, Misaki's jaw should have like dropped to the ground.
Saisho beginning outset first onset.
Well, that clears things up.
That doesn't help me at all.
I guess just first time, right? Like,
there's no way they would say that about a sex thing. I know I said the thing
troubling
about Gaku Evi last time, but I don't think this show is for real about that.
Clamp is sick and twisted. That's what we're learning with our deep analysis.
They did make Chobits.
Well, yes. Oh, boy. See, last time you clocked it, this time I did. We're on the lookout.
Awful.
You processed, but if we wanted to, I just wanted to take it out. Well, in context, it still sounds bad.
And we know that Aunt Shoko is saying some stuff, some questionable things sometimes, you know?
It's some crazy stuff. So, and I guess Tomoyo is just the young Shoko. My next note is back to, so there's a section where they introduce each of the finalists. And then I said I would be in the section of Sai's fangirls. Like, all her fans are girls and they're all screaming for Sai.
I have the nicknames they all got introduced with. Yeah, like when they're introduced, they're like, oh, it's this person, the blank, blank, blank.
Yep. Let's hear them.
Hanako, the ever victorious goddess. Okay. This is like a funny thing to have, especially because like we know that she lost to Sai last year. And this is her, like, second tournament, I guess, because she was 5, so she can't be in that many. Ayade's is White Angel. I think we already knew that. Misaki is Miracle Rookie, which makes sense. Sai is Ice Machine.
Yep.
Like, everybody else is, like, this adjective, like a goddess or an angel or a miracle, and she's just Ice Machine. And my only note for that is, like, whoever gave her this nickname definitely watched Top Gun and was like, ooh, Iceman's a cool name.
Oh, Oh, jeez.
It's so funny.
Okay, and then the kids they're cheering for Misaki. I don't know if you noticed it, but the two leading it were like the two kindergartners that she first meets in episode 1, where she hears them watching Angelic layer for the first time and telling her what it was. That was that.
Do they remember her?
Yeah, I think so. Nobody else has that dumbass haircut.
Why are the kindergartners not chilling for Haruko?
I don't know. Maybe
who's also in Tokyo and a kindergartner.
Thinks too highly of herself and like frowns at her peers, so they all don't like her. Maybe
they probably actually like go to school with her, and she's like just flipping her hair all the time and saying cool one-liners and walking off. Could you imagine like
anytime someone talks to her
with like somebody who is like currently in a tournament?
Oh man, I know. And then I said, yeah, Wizard is cool looking. Although the demonstration with the like weird ninja angels was interesting.
They say something when they're introducing the new system, which is that the layer they play on in the tournament is 10 square meters, which is big. It's really big compared to everything else. Like enormous. Sorry. Also, the announcer guy, like the guy who's sitting in the chair doing it, he pulls out
his mic from under his glasses.
Yeah, he's getting microphone stuff from like Ogata when he's like, hey, we're sending Ojiro instead of Shuko. And it the little thing comes out from under his glasses and he pushes it up back into the rim of his glasses. It's cool.
Yeah, because he's got like the Squirtle Squad kind of style glasses. In the flashback with Kaede and then them referring to Blanche, I guess she was older, or she's like the first rendition or model of Angel. Is there, and that's the reason. Well, you would think that maybe for each tournament it would like require you to use all the same model or something. Hold on.
I'm going to fill time while Sarah's gone. I don't have anything to say. Really need to fill time.
Nope, it's just my dog was yapping. It seems weird. Like it should be regulated what dolls you can use or something. Or they should get retired, like Beanie Babies.
It seems like it doesn't matter that much because like we had that scene in like an earlier episode where like Ojiro was using the newest doll and Shuko was kicking his ass with like one of the very first dolls that was ever made. So I have a note that is before the match, Kaede lets Misaki hold Blanche. Stop letting your opponents hold your doll. Misaki almost lost her last match for doing that. Guys, you know that Madoka cheated. Stop letting your opponent hold your doll before a match. Wait till afterwards.
They're confident Misaki's not capable.
I mean, that's fair.
I made a note that with how much Tomoyo is just beating on Kotaro, he should just always have like a black eye or be missing a few teeth or something.
He's tough.
Like, he needs to be looking a bit.
He knows just enough karate to make sure he doesn't actually get hurt, remember?
That's right. Okay, and then she keeps looking around for her mom at the start of the fight, which is annoying. You said yourself you wouldn't remember what your mom looks like, so you wouldn't know if it was her or not, you dummy.
Yeah. I mean, she just wants it to be like, she's so like when Shoko calls her out and is like, hey, Shuko's not going to be here. Misaki immediately is like, yeah, I pretty much figured my mom like wouldn't prioritize me or like pay attention, so that's fine. It's like devastating. It's so sad.
Yeah. I would have waited until after the match to tell.
I would have also waited. That was not a good call, Shoko.
Well, Shoko's not a mom, even though she's being more of one than the actual mom.
Like, everybody's being more of a mom than Shuko is. Kaede is more of a mom than Shuko is to Misaki.
For real. Okay, and then in the fight, Hikaru, like, Blanche is so elegant, and then Hikaru's just, like, fumbling her way through this new arena setup, like, very awkwardly moving about.
The arena setup is cool, though. Like, this is the most... It's gotten extremely anime with these environments. Like, Hikaru's running around punching through rocks.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Also, didn't she sustain damage? Like, she took fall damage at some point. So that's, like, a thing, I guess, to be concerned about. If you're clumsy like that.
Yeah, that's because she didn't land on her feet.
And the part where they say that only 2 angels up to this point have touched Blanche, I was like, ooh, Blanche is so cool.
It was 4. It was 4 days since I've been able to touch Blanche, but 2 of them are here.
Yes, that's right. My bad.
Well, I'm assuming the other 2 are like Ojiro and Shuko or something.
Well, they just saw Ojiro there, so they could have said.
That's true. I guess like they may have not, like none of these people may have actually faced Shuko before. Well, yeah, no, they may have not. Because if she's the champion and they have to go into nationals, Sai was the runner-up. She may have not even ever fought Shuko.
Yeah, and then hyper mode's what we end on.
Should we go on to the next episode?
Yeah. Yeah, no, my dog's being rowdy, so while you're doing that, I can mute and get her to chill out.
Angelic Layer episode 14 is called I Won't Give Up, and then an angel is born. We open on Ichan explaining that hyper mode is a bug that allows an angel that takes over 50% damage to act without a limiter. This bug got patched out in later models, but since Blanche is like a first gen angel, she's still able to do it. Ogata asks why they haven't been recalled, or why he didn't recall those models, but Ichan and Shuko had too much affection for those first gen models to destroy them. We cut to the hospital, where Shuko is in a hospital bed. Inada, who works for Ichan, meets up with the employee who is always with Shuko. I've looked up her name because she has another kanji name. It's Sekiko. I'm going to start calling her Sekiko from now on. Sekiko explains that Shuko had come back to the hospital because she didn't make up her mind about meeting Misaki, and Inada is shocked that Shuko hasn't told her daughter anything, and comments that if she wins the tournament, she's going to see her mom in a wheelchair and will know something is up. Sekiko replies by saying Shuko isn't that strong. Then we get a flashback, a really important flashback. Here we go. We get a flashback to Shuko having trouble standing, while a toddler, Misaki, asks her what's wrong. We cut later to Shuko leaving in a taxi for a job. She says bye to Misaki and says she'll be right back after she finishes her work. Misaki looks sad, but tells her mom to do her best and that she'll be all right. As she drives off, young Misaki starts crying. Sekiko's voiceover tells us that Shuko has a disease called degenerative neural syndrome, which causes interference between her brain signals and her muscle receptors. So she's not actually going to a job. She's instead staying at the hospital for a long time while the hospital researches to find a cure. We get a scene in the hospital between Shoko and Shuko, where Shoko tells Shuko that Misaki's in elementary school now and that she really should call her and tell her that she's at the hospital instead of working some job. But Shuko doesn't want to do that because then she'll know that she'd lied about working, and she doesn't want to worry Misaki about it. On her way out, she runs into a young Ichan, who we learn is a chief designer for a medical equipment maker and works in research for degenerative neural syndrome. We then see Shuko and Ichan running some tests, and we learn that Shuko's condition isn't suited for prosthetics because she can't control the muscles, but if they can get her brain waves to interact directly with the prosthetic, she could move around. Eventually, they settle on making a human-sized prosthetic, but at the moment, the best they can do is to use a tiny doll to move around, about the size of an angel. We get some really good montages of Shuko using the neural helmet to move around the little humanoid machine on the layer. Ichan pitches a full-size prosthetic to his company's board of directors, but they all shoot him down because that's really expensive and risky. A defeated Ichan tells Shuko and Shoko that they won't get any more funding and that they're out of money for any more tests. Shoko is ready to call it, but Shuko tells Shuko that she should just go home and live with Misaki, and that there are a lot of moms with worse diseases and wheelchairs. It's not a big deal. Shuko yells at Ichan, saying that because of him, she had a dream that she could help everybody who suffered like her to walk again, and all Ichan can do is apologize. Shuko goes over to the little robot that they've been doing tests with, which has now been dressed up in a little dress and a wig, and she picks it up, commenting that she wishes Misaki could have played with the robot because she'd always loved dolls. After saying this comment, Ichan is given a brilliant idea, and he stops Shuko and Shoko before they can leave. Then we get more voiceover saying that Ichan planned to get the money for the research by selling toys instead of getting a grant or however they were getting money before, and passing all of the profits and royalties to the research budget. After 4 years, the first Angelic Layer egg went on sale. They were a huge hit, and Ichan and Shoko would continue research on the full-size prosthetics while they were also releasing stuff for Angelic Layer, which I assume is what they've been doing for the past 2 years. We cut to later, where Shoko brings the news that Misaki is coming to Tokyo to Shuko and Ichan. Shuko tells her that Shuko tells her that they collected a lot of useful data from the brain waves at the competitions, and soon they should have enough data to make some fully functioning legs work. And she wants to wait until she has those legs working so that when she sees Misaki, she won't feel useless and Misaki won't see her in a wheelchair. Ichan then gives a voiceover saying that he decided to meet Misaki at Tokyo Station, but she was the one who chose to do Angelic Layer, and that none of this was actually destiny. Then we get a new eye catch, which is a much cooler scene than we get before, that has both Misaki and Hanako in it, and it's really good. We cut back to the present. The match is happening and Hikaru has been slammed onto some rocks. She narrowly dodges Blanche and gets back. Apparently, this is unheard of because Blanche usually knocks angels out in one hit if she hits them in hyper mode. Hikaru and Blanche start brawling, but in a prolonged fight, Blanche starts smoking, like from her gears or something. Misaki asks Kaede why she's staying in hyper mode if it's literally breaking Blanche. Kaede replies that Blanche probably is in pain, but that's just the way hyper mode is, and goes on the attack. Misaki wonders aloud why Kaede would make her angel, who she considers her child, go through such pain just to win a game. Hyper mode wears off and Kaede immediately activates it again. Kotaro explains that Hikaru is low on points and if she takes a few more big hits, she's probably going to lose. Misaki is worried because Blanche is outpacing her. She wonders if she should just quit so Hikaru won't get hurt anymore, because after all, it's not like she's going to see her mom if she wins, so there's really no upside. Misaki is on the verge of surrendering when Kaede tells her to look into the lair. Misaki does so and sees Hikaru staring back at her, and Misaki thinks that Hikaru still wants to fight. Kaede tells her that she hears Blanche's desire to fight, and that's why she won't quit fighting even if Blanche is hurting. Misaki joins back in, and Hikaru gets up. Kaede thanks her, and the final leg of the match starts. The battle rages until Hikaru unexpectedly stops and drops her guard and stands before Blanche unprotected. In the control room, Ogata asks why she's doing that, and Ojiro recalled something. Shuko told him about how it's not the angels fighting, but it's the Deus' hearts. Blanche launches a kick so hard it blows up a giant dust cloud. The smoke clears and we see that Hikaru has caught Blanche's kick at the last second. Then she does a cool reversal and kicks Blanche out, or knocks Blanche out, winning the match. After the match, Kaede apologizes to Blanche for losing, and Misaki thanks Kaede for the encouragement. She says that she felt as though her mother had scolded her, and Kaede says, "Oh, is that what that feels like? I've never had a mom, so I don't know," which surprised Misaki. Then Kaede thanks Misaki for giving it her all up until the end, and they shake hands. In the hospital, Sekiko tells Shuko that Misaki won, and Shuko figured that would happen. Post-match, Sai asks Kaede why she didn't attack Hikaru's weak point, and Kaede says it's because Sai was the first one to figure it out, and that she should be the first one to do it. Sai resolves to defeat Hikaru and walks off as we cut to credits. Oh man, that's a lot. I don't know if I summarized that super well.
Thank God you were doing those scripts. I would have been so brief.
There's so much important stuff. Like, I have so many notes just like on the timeline of things that happened in case it wasn't clear. There's so many good small details in this episode.
Yeah, so we learn a lot. A lot is revealed. The motivations for the creation of the Angelic layer.
Get the backstory. We get Shuko's whole deal.
Yeah, we learn Misaki still had that dumb haircut even as a child.
I have that note. I know you didn't say something about it.
It looks terrible. It looks even worse than it does now.
It looks pretty bad when she's a child.
Dear.
She has like the anime, like toddler, huge head thing going on. Do you want to start at the beginning where Edition 1 angels get like a secret bonus hyper mode because of a bug in the code or whatever?
Yeah. Well, that Ichan recall. He didn't recall them because he liked that the Deuses were essentially innovating.
This reminds me of like a speedrun strat.
Although I guess if you think about it, if this was the actual prosthetics that were having this and then they just start smoking and stuff, that'd be concerning.
Yeah, that'd be bad. This is why you test stuff. This is why you field test. Sekiko greets Inada, and my subtitles says she calls him honey, so I guess they're in a relationship, which is interesting. Also, Inada's like the only normal guy, because when Sekiko's like, oh yeah, like she didn't want to see Misaki because she didn't want her to like see her in a wheelchair, and Inada's like, wait, what? Misaki doesn't know anything? She's like, no. He's like the only normal person who's like, what the hell?
Yeah,
like, what? That's so messed up.
Questioning it. Yeah.
I mean, all of it. No, actually, everybody's questioning it. Everybody thinks this is a terrible call. Like, everybody at this company thinks it's a terrible call. Shoko thinks it's a terrible call. Ichan thinks it's a terrible call. Everybody thinks this is a bad thing to do.
I know. I was going to say after.
But they all go along with it.
I guess for the sake of their noble cause.
I mean, like,
functioning.
Ichan is doing stuff specifically to upset it. Not in like a direct way, but in like kind of an indirect way. But like everybody else is being, you know, I mean, Ojiro hasn't said anything and he could have messed up. I don't know. I have some mixed feelings about that.
Okay, because this is what she's been doing and she has been sending money to Misaki. So I guess this is her job and she is making some kind of profit off of it.
It's true. The big reveal that it turns out, the big plot twist where it turns out that Shuko actually is doing really important work is is like kind of funny. Because I guess it's not a twist.
No, still a terrible mother. Like knowing all this did not improve her standing as a mother in my eyes at all. Like it just made her
really
selfish.
Oh, come on. This is like, this makes her, I'm much more sympathetic to Shuko now. I mean, it's still like, this is objectively the wrong call to make.
Yeah.
But I'm much more sympathetic to it. This episode did a great job of making me sympathetic to everybody and also make me think that Angelic Layer is the greatest thing on Earth.
Well, I was going to say I'm not feeling that much more sympathetic.
Wow. So I tried to see like what's going on with Shuko's disease.
Mm-hmm. If it's real.
Nothing of that name shows up, but the symptoms sound similar to like a weaker version of ALS, where like your muscle neurons get like atrophy, so like you can't move your body. It's the thing that what's his face had, the scientist guy.
Stephen Hawkins. Okay.
But it's like a similar thing to that descriptively. I mean, ALS is like it continues to get worse over time. Usually pretty drastically. And in her case, it doesn't seem to be because they mentioned in the timeline, this is like a 4-year gap, I guess, 5-year gap, something like that. And Shuko doesn't seem to get noticeably worse.
No, because they say like the limbs are totally fine. It's just that the brain and limbs connection is.
Yeah. Well, this is, I think, what happens with ALS, where it's like your brain function is fine. It's the connection to your muscles that gets cut off. And because of that, your muscles start to atrophy because they're not like moving and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like cognitively, you can, I mean, I guess there's like versions of it where your cognitive faculties can also decline. But
look at you doing the research.
Well,
do you think they I guess maybe fabricated it to, I don't know. I guess they probably came with the concept of Angelic Layer first and then came up with a reason for its conception within the story.
Yeah.
Okay. The in the flashback where he's telling her like, oh, we don't have the funds, and she looks at the doll, I wrote, it's the most terrifying looking doll ever. It's so creepy because it's just a faceless little thing with a dress and a wig. It's weird looking.
Well, if you look at it, it literally just looks like a little tiny machine, and it has like a masculine build as opposed to all the other dolls we see that have like feminine builds. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. She doesn't get to move around and stuff. So the timeline, in case my summary wasn't clear, this is the timeline. Shuko goes to the hospital. Misaki enters elementary school. Shuko refuses to call her because she says she's going to be better soon.
She sucks.
And then Shuko meets Ichan and they start working together. They start to move the doll around. One note here is that the helmet she wears progressively gets like
lighter. I mean, that's how technology is, right? Like it's heavy.
Well, it gets cuter also.
Yeah, surprisingly, they had the little feathers on the side anyways before this is ever branded.
Oh, well, the very first one doesn't. So the initial helmet, the first helmet she wears is just a regular, like, big, huge helmet. Mm-hmm. But there is a sticky note on it that says Angelic Notion. So I guess that's what it's called, the name of the helmet. Oh. I'm guessing Ichan named the helmet. Then the second version is the one with wings on it. Okay. And then later versions we see when they like convert it into a toy thing, it's like a version of the kind of more headband helmet we see, but it's like a little bit more bulky. So we get some progression of the helmet, but the helmet progression was happening before they pivoted to toys. So
yeah, I mean, it looked heavy. I guess it'd be strenuous to have on your head.
But then, okay, so they start moving it all around with that helmet. They pitch a full-scale prosthetic, but it's denied by the company. Then they pitch it as a toy company. Angelic Layer goes on sale. This is 4 years from, like, the start of this flashback, I guess. And then Misaki comes to Tokyo.
And, yeah, I guess, because the dolls, like, at launch, everyone's going crazy for them. I wonder how many were initially made, and now that people know that that bug was there, if they, like, would sell for a ton of money after, like, new iterations of the Angel came out and the old ones are limited. And have that cool bug with hyper mode. I bet you could sell one for a lot.
I guess.
Me and my money thinking.
Yeah, I guess so. Even though this is like, okay, listen, this flashback is the best thing that's ever happened in the show. Oh my god, dude, this stuff is so cool. Like the fact that we learn there's a lot going on, right? I have a lot of thoughts about this, and they're all just kind of in the same place. The fact that Angelic Layer comes about like as a company because the like very important funding or like the research for these very important research that Ichan and Shuko are doing to like improve people's lives through projective prosthetics is denied by this company because they don't think it'll make them money.
Yep.
So instead they have to pivot to selling toys in order to get funding for research is like extremely cool. I mean, it sucks because this is like the shit that happens in like actual life, right? Where it's like if you work for a company that makes devices, they care about making money. They don't really care about like improving people's lives because that's not why they're there. Although, you know, in real life, they probably could have gotten like government funding or something for this. Maybe. I don't actually know what it is in Japan, but like I'm a researcher at a hospital. This was a very touching backstory to me where I'm like, oh man, like I want to be this. I want to do this.
You want to be Ichan.
I want to be Ichan. Ichan's a fucking hero. Like I can't believe the show is like playing him off like he's creepy in any way. He's actually just like the best guy ever.
He was a real cutie back in the day too.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look that different. I can see the
resemblance to Ojiro. Well, they show his eyeballs more.
But yeah, I mean, like, the fact that Ichan should have just been a researcher. Like, I don't know what the academic situation is in Japan. If it's anything like here where it's falling to pieces because academia is like a literal hellhole, then I understand why he has to work at a company even though he should just have a research job. Disaster.
Oh,
I can't believe it. But I do, like, this is the best case scenario. Like, imagine your funding got cut off, but you have the stuff to pivot into making toys that are all about, like, equalizing opportunities for people to play with each other. It's like all of these, so far, all of these girls we've seen are like being able to like work through their like personal problems and like trauma and stuff through Angelic Layer. Yeah. This is so good. It's like you actually made a product that's like legitimately good. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, did you watch the Barbie movie?
Yes.
You remember that part of the Barbie movie where they like bring in the fucking maker of Barbie and they like give a little speech about this thing? And I'm like, okay, well, I would feel better about this speech if we didn't just have to watch the like board of Mattel fuck around for like an hour.
Yeah.
This is like, what if that was real? Like, what if you actually made a product that helps people because you wanted to help people and not for like some bullshit cynical capitalism reasons? Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so good. Once again, capitalism, the bad guy. I can't believe they didn't fund this shit. It's so good.
I mean, I guess in today you would just probably call, someone influential who has interest in this thing and have them test it or do crowdfunding or something like that is how you would maybe get it done now.
Yeah, like your biggest hope now would either be like a government grant, which like they do. I mean, like the NIH does like give grants for this kind of like, in real life, if he got this far in like research testing, he would get a grant for this because this is like incredible technology. Mm-hmm. But in this world where that doesn't happen, yeah, like I guess you hope that a rich person also has this affliction and they'll fund it because that's the hellhole we live in.
Yep.
It's like your access to money for research is limited by like which rich asshole do you have to kiss up to today. It sucks.
Good thing you can bring the real world comparisons to the table. Because I cannot.
It's because I hate that. Like, this is what happens. This is what happened. Like, the technology that went into making the like RNA vaccines for COVID, it was like the same type of thing. Like the person who like discovered that method or like pioneered that method just like did it a long time ago and couldn't get any funding. And she she had to like go do something else. And then all of a sudden as soon as it becomes profitable for these big fucking companies, that's when it gets revived or whatever. And I think like now she won like a Nobel Prize or something. So like glad that you get the credit that you're actually were due. But the fact that it took a pandemic to like realize that people are doing valuable research and it just isn't getting funded because some fucking rich asshole can't make money off of it just sucks. And the fact that Angelic Layer is all about like, hey, what if we got around that is incredible. This is the best thing ever.
Yeah, take note, world.
Well, I guess we can talk about Shuko now, right?
Yeah, let's like freaking do it.
The thing with Shuko is like her entire, like her fear, her like overriding fear is to appear useless, right? Which is like why she's so afraid of seeing Misaki or Misaki seeing her like in a wheelchair, right? And this is why she was so like freaked out when we get like the initial start of the flashback, which is her like collapsing.
Yeah.
Like in the kitchen and Misaki comes up because Shuko doesn't want to feel useless, but she also can't complete her like tasks as a housewife with her like current condition. You know what I mean? Because like her house was not accessible, No. She was not going to be able to do those things. And so she like totally retreats. Like she goes to this hospital. She doesn't tell Misaki why. Even before she starts doing the research with Ichan, she is like very against telling Misaki what's going on, and her cover is that she's working, which is a thing that makes her feel useful or makes her sound useful, right? Because all of this is about Shuko like not wanting to appear useless.
I guess
everything contributes to that. Like she's very excited to work with Ichan and is like very like full into it. And when he comes and being like, oh, we ran out of funding, she like gets pissed because she's like, you were giving my life worth and like giving me value and making me believe I could actually change and do something. And like now I can't. And that's like the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Which I feel like is pretty sympathetic.
Well, you know what the worst thing that happened to Misaki is?
Yeah.
Freaking mom leaving you. Okay. Little does she know that her daughter becomes a housewife, so she didn't even need to worry about those things.
I know, she adopts all of those things that Shuko would have been useful for. All of the roles that Shuko would have played, Misaki just adopts, right? Like, this is what happens. This is why this works so good for me, because it's in Shuko's attempt to try to, like, restore herself. She is completely absent she can't be Misaki's mom because she's not there. She's just missing all of these years of her life.
You're doing more damage by being gone than being, slightly...
It's like tragic.
Yep. Yeah. Still a bad mom, like doing things for the greater good of people who need this technology. But as far as a mother is, you're still going to be important even if you can't walk.
Like, she could have met, like, when the funding goes away, Shoko's whole thing is like, look, we'll just move in with, like, Misaki will just move here and we'll all live together. And Shuko says no. But, like, they could have done that at any time. Yep. Like, Misaki could have just moved to Tokyo at any time and lived with Shuko and Shoko. Mm-hmm. That would have been fine. They could have just done that. And they could have done that while Shuko was still working on this stuff. Like, you could get everything you wanted, but because you are, like, so petrified of appearing useless to your daughter, you can't do it. It's like, it is tragic. Like, this is a thing that feels bad. And, like, I understand why she wouldn't want to do that. But damn, man, like, it could have worked.
Yeah.
It can work. It can still work.
Yes. I don't know. Maybe it's because my mom is she's like a very hardcore mom. Like, mom is the identity and everything else in the world revolves around that. But whereas Shuko, it's like a part of her is a mom, but it's more focused about her disability than, it's more important that she fix that than be a mom to Misaki. So that's selfish.
Yeah. Well, it also sucks because, like, I want to know, like, I want to get more backstory on Shuko, because it's like she becomes, like, she's a mom and she feels bad about not being able to perform the duties of, like, being a mom or whatever because she's not mobile. But, like, she's a pretty good researcher. She should just be a researcher. You know what I mean? Like, is this Shuko could accomplish more than being, like, a stay-at-home mom. And I understand that that's, like, a somewhat of a gender norm, right?
I mean, she had to have had a job for Misaki for her to use the excuse that she had to go for work to Tokyo, right? So she must have had some job.
I mean, she's talking to a toddler. You can say anything to a toddler. You're not going to be like, oh, I checked your employment records. What job is this? Like, this is what I'm saying. Is like, is Shuko just, like, unfulfilled in general?
Probably.
This seems like a case of
unsatisfied with life. This was her out. She took it. And she doesn't want to go back to being a mom.
I don't think she doesn't want to go back to being a mom. I think she just, like, she wants to be useful and she can't stand
this being is more important to her.
Well, this is important stuff. I mean, this is important.
It is important. Although, in theory, anyone of a similar position could have taken on that role. And then she could have gone back and known that it was being worked on and still be there for Misaki. Or just freaking have Misaki move there.
No, but, like, I think she still needed to be there to do it.
Okay.
I think the fallacy here is that she needed to pick one. I think she could have just done both. But I do think it's sad. Like, Shuko's older. Like, she would have grown up in, like, the 70s in Japan. I don't think women got that much, like, many options for doing stuff.
She's looked really young. Like, it seems like, because it's only been, I don't know. Like, they make her look really young with the stylings of her hair and outfits or these flashbacks. So I wonder if she was, like, a really young mom when she had Misaki. So maybe she just never got to experience life on her own from when she was a kid herself to having a kid. And then, so this is, like, her chance to be her own person, doing her own thing.
Yeah. Well, it's not, I mean, I don't think it's at that as much. It's kind of like the way she could keep herself from feeling useful was, like, her role as, like, a caretaker of Misaki and keeper of the house, which she can't do with her condition, but she can be a researcher with a condition. And that gives her, like, actual, that gives her, like, a meaning. She can't go back to doing the thing that she thinks she can't do well, but she could, it's like, it's imagining it in your mind that you need to be good at a thing and you need to like perform certain types of work. Or, I mean, like, I don't know if Shuko could imagine herself being a mom without like doing the traditional stuff of like cooking and cleaning and all that other things. Like there is a way in which Angelic Layer, like as a game, is based on the ideas that you are not constrained by like the restrictions that society put on you, right? Like Hadako can play Angelic Layer because you do it with your mind, and even though she's 5 or even though she's 4, she can still play with other people, right? Whereas nobody would play a game with her like as an adult if she was a child. Yeah. That's just not how society operates. They wouldn't, that would be kind of disallowed in a certain way, even though there's nothing literally stopping you from doing that, right? You could go play games with kindergartners. I mean, there's nothing like literally stopping you from doing it. But what I'm saying is that like, and in Angelic Layer, like Shuko is able to move around and do things and like operate at her best. Like she's able to be the like her most operable, efficient version of herself in this way, where she doesn't feel like that in her life because she feels like a failure as a mom because she can't do the tasks that she's supposed to do. Even though like you can be a mom and not do those tasks. Like it is okay to ask for other people for help and to like just not be able to do certain tasks that don't necessarily have to be done. But because that isn't the ideal, like that isn't what you should be doing, that isn't the thing. Like she can't do the mom things that are like made up by society. She feels like a failure.
We are getting deep here.
Dude, Angelic Layer is all about like breaking through the facade of society and like understanding the core of what people are.
Maybe that's the episode title. Breaking the facade.
This is why this is the best thing ever. It's great.
That's right.
Angelic Layer is also going to bring Misaki and Shuko together, which should have happened forever, but they can't because they're all in their head about how they should be performing.
Yeah, just another
which is
life
also why it's great.
Improved by Angelic Layer.
This is the greatest sport of all time.
Okay, do you want to return to
return to the fight? Are you tired of me talking about this?
Well, one last mom thing. While I was still in the mindset of like, oh, Shuko, you're still a bad mom, I said Kaede is a bad mom too for making Blanche break down and keep going. Dear.
I have some thoughts about that too.
Okay, yeah, what the weird mom thing going on there?
So if you think about what's going on with the dolls and Angelic Layer and what we learn about how like the impetus of creating these dolls is like a prosthetic. It is your brain communicating with a thing that it can effectively communicate with. I'm having a hard time thinking of like what the relationship between deises and angels actually are. Like before I was thinking them as like a separate things, right? It's like, oh, it's like an angel. It's like a thing that carries out your will. But what if it's actually the same thing?
It's just the extension of yourself.
It's an extension of yourself. So like the way when Kaede is talking about her relationship with her angel and how she is like the mom to this angel, but that's just an extension of herself. Kaede is being her own mom because she doesn't have one.
That's fucking sad.
In the same way that like Misaki gets Hikaru and she views her as a friend because she got Hikaru when she moved to a city alone and didn't know anybody. She became her own friend. It's like being able to project the relationship that you desire.
Okay. Look at you. Man, are you going to write like a thesis on Angelic Layer?
It's because this owns, dude. This is what I'm saying. I was so high. Like normally I just like, I write, when I watch it the first time, I like pause and do the summaries, right? I got halfway through this episode and I just let the whole thing play out and just like didn't even like try to make the summary while I was watching it. I ended up watching it 3 times. It's incredible. It's so good because all this stuff clicks together. Like everything clicks into place. It's really good.
That's right.
But yeah, so like when Kaede is like, yeah, like I'll just keep fighting as long as Blanche does. But it's her. She wants to keep fighting. Kaede wants to keep going.
But she's saying, I hear Blanche's voice. So she's saying she's hearing voices. Should we be worried?
No, I mean, but it's her voice. She's hearing herself. They're not different people. They're the same thing. This is what I'm saying. Like, she's just doing the fucking Goku thing where it's like, you just want to fight somebody at their best. You just want to have the best fight you can be. Kaede wants to go all out because she likes going all out.
Okay, so I think this episode's the first time we hear that knockout is a way for the match to end. Because before it's been either time runs out, whoever has the most hit points, or someone gets knocked out of the layer, but not like consciously knocked out. But that's something that they stated in this as a way.
Oh, is that true? We've never seen somebody get like knocked to 0 hit points before.
Well, I think like maybe, I don't know, not out of health points, but just like unable to continue, like physically.
Yeah, I guess they've never
no,
said, like,
they haven't.
Because I guess that isn't that what Suzuka does?
I think her kick just straight up
just knocks
depletes
them out.
all their health.
It's a sick finisher though. It's cool how she wins.
Yeah. Yes, I
just catches her kick.
Cannot. I don't know if you watched the sneak peek for the next episode. I couldn't help myself.
I did not.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's got to be, it's Hanako and Sai, right?
Yeah.
That's going to be sick. It does feel like they're using all the animation budget for these fights. Like, we added the background, like, anime is here. This is the shonen stuff that's good. This is the fighting.
This is what they use now, the promotions of the show.
Yeah, and I would too. It's cool.
I made a note that I like, there's like one little scene where Ogata asks a question and then Fujimori's like holding Ogata-chi, the little doll that Ichan had named after him as like a punishment thing. And she just held him as like a threat to like, you better pipe down or we're going to do something with this doll named after you again. I like that doll keeps making like little appearances throughout the show now. And then at the end of the fight, even Kaede is calling her Masaki-chi. Tomoyo has like mastered the art of word of mouth as a promotional platform.
Still nothing on the weakness.
What? Any speculation on what it is? The same thing Blanche has.
I don't know. Yeah, Blanche also has. So it has.
I guess it's just super obvious being tiny.
Yeah, it seems it has to do something with being a speed type, right? Because Blanche is also a speed type, so it makes sense.
And then this will be like Misaki's way of overcoming her own insecurities about being small, is that she'll learn Hikaru's weakness is that, but overcome it and blah blah blah. Character growth.
Yeah, it's good. This is the stuff that's good. This is why Angelic Layer owns. Is because it's like, oh, what if you had a game that like helped you in real life overcome? I mean, that's what sports does for a lot of people, right? Is like, oh, you like learn a lot of lessons about like getting confidence and stuff through sports. This is just like literally doing that on the page. This is what sports is about.
I suppose so.
Good. I like this. This is fun.
Joe loves sports.
This is great.
You heard it here
I want to make a company that sells dolls that help people gain self-confidence and also funds my research for helping people.
That would be pretty sweet.
And all of my coworkers are like cool and we hang out and we do little jokes.
We have we know we're halfway through now that we have a different ending credit song. It's a different one now.
Yeah, we got a new eye catch. I mentioned that.
Okay, you called that eye catch. I just always was like, oh, this is like where the ad would go. Okay, that's all I have for episode 14. Oh, okay, so
good. These are fucking banger episodes. The show has arrived. I was so worried that like whatever Shuko was worried about was going to be dumb, and I was going to be like, oh, I got to deal with this like underdeveloped garbage. Like, I was so afraid that this was just going to be like, oh, I don't want to be like, I'm embarrassed that I'm in a wheelchair because that's bad. But like actually relating to that's like, she's not embarrassed she's a wheelchair. She's embarrassed that she's going to like feel worthless, which is a completely different thing that is much more relatable. Yeah. It's like, I mean, I guess as a kid, I didn't. Well, also, I don't know. You're the thinker of this podcast. You're the one who's thinking about these deep things. So you're going to like make us more credible in our analysis of these shows. This is just how I watch stuff now. This is why when I watch stuff, I'm like, this show isn't that good. And all my friends are like, oh, but it's so good. And I'm like, I don't know, man. What's happening? I don't like it. You should I don't know. You need to start, you should have your own little review website blog or something. Oh, man. Unfortunately, digital media has lit itself on fire in the last, all of the cool, news sites I would go to that have, opinion columns and stuff, all shut down. Oh. Vice is, dead. I just Google or whatever, my phone, suggests stories for me. It's a lot of Persona 3 related things at the moment. Is it good? Well, I'm happy to see a lot of articles saying it's dumb that they didn't have the female protagonist in it. That it feels like a part of it's missing. Good. I like it when things agree with my opinions. Yeah. I mean, is it fun that I do this, or is it annoying? No, I think, well, that's the whole point of
listening to things, right, is that maybe you're hearing a different perspective that now that you're aware of it, you can determine if you agree or not. And then it just makes you think more about your own thoughts on the thing. So I think it just promotes more meaningful consumption of stuff. So that's what we're doing here. We're dead serious, but comically recapping.
Well, I mean, this is like, while I was saying like, oh, we're going to take this seriously. This is like my version of taking it seriously, right? Is like, I'm going to really like try to pay attention and engage with the thing, which is like kind of a weird, like I didn't do, this is the opposite of what I did in high school. Like when I was in high school, I was definitely that like kid who's like, oh, the curtains are just blue or whatever when I was like reading books and stuff.
Yeah, I know. I think as a kid, I just skipped descriptor paragraphs altogether in books. I was like, where's the dialogue? Where's the things happening? Parts. I
mean, to be fair, like I've been thinking about like, why am I into this now? And the reason is because like I'm applying this to stuff I like. Like I'm applying this to Angelic Layer, this like cool anime. Whereas like in high school, it's like you read the Grapes of Wrath or what, like you read stuff and it turns out to be a Bible allegory, and I'm like, I couldn't care less about this. This means nothing to me.
I like the Count of Monte Cristo because that was about revenge, and I am all about that.
Yeah, there's some stuff I read in high school that's like fun. I mean, I do actually like parts of the Grapes of Wrath, but it's like, you know, having to be exposed to a lot of stuff that's just like, this speaks nothing to me. I don't care about Anna Karenina. I'm sorry. I don't care.
Now that we are halfway through, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate Angelic Layer?
This last episode was so strong, it's going to color everything else. We're in like 8-9 territory.
Okay. And my anime list, the score is 7.26.
Pretty good. I rate things pretty low than average, just by the way. If you think like 7 or like 8, like when I say like 8-9, that's really high.
It's hard to, I mean, because when we were going through the openings, it was like tough to rate everything. Yeah, okay. Well, we're halfway there for real this time.
Yeah. I'm really excited to get to the rest of it. I wonder where they're going to take things from here. I don't know how they're going to keep going for another 13 episodes.
I know, episodes. Right? I'm trying to remember what else there is.
Pay off next week. Yeah.
Next episode is Hatoko versus Sai, which I don't recall if they get more than an episode dedicated to that or not. Like if it'll like bleed into the next one. And then whoever wins that, Misaki will go against, which will take like another probably 2 episodes at least. And then, I don't know, I guess we're going to have rando episodes like the date with Kotaro last time peppered in there probably to fill it out.
Yeah, but those are good. We get good stuff in those.
Do we? Oh.
Yeah, we got the whole like, maybe Tamayo's into him. What's going on here?
Mm-hmm. I know. It's so weird because like I'm the person who's watched shoujo and you're not. You're the one who's much more like buying into everything this show is. Or like, I don't know. I'm just very.
Are you surprised?
Cynical now, I guess. Well,
are you surprised how I'm reacting to this?
No, I shouldn't be. I shouldn't. Well, we'll see. We're gonna watch some garbage at some point. You're gonna be like, "What the hell is this shit?"
Are you surprised by your reaction?
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's because we're having like take notes and stuff. I think I would have just like watched it and enjoyed it, but taking notes, then I'm like putting my thoughts to paper, and then collectively it's all very negative, and except for my admiration for Hatoko and Sai. That's like the positives of the show for me.
I mean, to be fair, those characters rule.
They're so cool.
That makes sense. They are very cool. They're like commenting the whole time on the fight. Like because everybody's in the lair, so they're like up there and they're talking to each other. Mm-hmm. I love to talk strategy with a 5-year-old.
Well, I think maybe, I don't know at what point we would do this. At some point, once we've done a few series, we should have like where we rank characters based in different categories.
Characters. Okay.
Yeah, like worst protagonist or like best love interest, things like that. Like, and then rank from each series.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. I like cool.
that. Which is so far in the future from now. I need to like be patient. Haven't even edited last week's episode yet. Oh boy. I'm gonna try to be normal.
And not take 7 hours to do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna try to do. No guarantees. Oh God, what's wrong with me?
All right, should we jump into our last segment?
Yes. Okay.
All right. Well, I think we had a good time with these episodes of Angelic Layer. What are some other things you think our listeners could have a good time with?
Yeah. This week, I'm going to recommend an anime because I don't think I've recommended any at this point.
We love anime here.
appear as though I watch anime and recommended anime on our anime podcast. So that's what I'm going to do. And my recommendation is one of my favorite animes ever, which maybe we'll cover. It's more josei than shoujo, but it's called Chihayafuru. And it's kind of a sports anime, like in I guess the format that the story plays out as far as like matches and winning and losing and all that. But it's based off this like very old Japanese poem card game that's like memorization and speed based, where it's like 100 poems, like traditional Japanese poems that there's like cards with verses from the poems, and there's someone who will read out the first half of a poem and then they'll like break, and then once they start reading the second part, you then have to find that card, that poem verse on like out of all the cards that are on the playing field, which is like 50 on your I think it's 25 on your side and 25 cards on their side, and you're facing each other, so half the cards you see are like upside down to you, but that's like 50 cards you have to try and remember the placement of and then get it before they get it. It's really cool. I freaking bought the English translated version of the cards that I have that no one wants to play with me. No one wants to play a game where you have to memorize stuff. I have a lazy family who doesn't want to have to think. So I don't have anyone. I'll bring it when I come visit you, Joe, and I'll force you to play it with me. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, God. Okay.
All right.
It's a great anime. It's lovely. It's pretty, but it's got, romantic elements to it, but that doesn't overshadow. It's like so good. It's so good. So that's my recommendation. Chihayafuru. There's 3 seasons, I believe. How about you, Joe? What do you have to recommend to our lovely listeners eager for more content?
While I was playing Milk Inside of a Bag of Milk Inside of a Bag and Milk Outside of a Bag of Milk Outside of a Bag of Milk, I was thinking a lot about another game that I played that has like aspects relating to do with mental health that were like, for like a different game I played. I'm going to recommend the RPG Omori.
Ooh, that's the dog one, right? Oh, shit. Am I wrong?
Oh, is that Okami?
Okami, that's what I was thinking of.
No, Omori is a horror
God,
role-playing game. I mean, it's not like horror. It's like psychological horror. It is one of these Earthbound-inspired games that plays very similar to that. It has some interesting gameplay going on where, like, instead of status effects, it's based on your emotional state. So you can go from like happy, which gives you certain stats that are boosted and certain other stats that are decreased, or angry or sad. You can have those like 3 stages of each of those. I mean, they have like a rock, paper, scissors things going on with that. And so there's like interesting gameplay mechanics in terms of like manipulating your emotions for handling certain like encounters.
I think I've seen
Yeah, and you're like, it's like a little sprite.
Nintendo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it released for the Nintendo. It released for a lot of stuff.
It looks familiar.
I think this is fairly
It's a cool
popular.
concept.
Yeah, like it deals with depression and like anxiety and like phobias of stuff and kind of goes through little things. It's like a story of these 4 kids who are reconnecting after some time when one of their something bad happened to them in their youth. And so like you play the game as like the flashback of like what happened, where you kind of go through like different kind of like fantasy things where you guys are like playing pretend and some other things, and then you have the aspect of the game that is in like the modern day where you're like more grown up and you're in like high school and stuff. And it's good. It's really interesting. There's a lot going on here. I think it's like an RPG Maker kind of game. So like the pixel art is very fun. But yeah, I mean, like some parts of it, it's an RPG, and like I'm not the biggest RPG fan of all time, because like I get really tired of the repetitive gameplay, but the story is strong enough and like the mechanics are interesting enough that like I got through the whole thing pretty good. So I'd recommend it. It's pretty fun.
Nice.
So check it out. It's called Omori.
When I think of RPG, I don't really think of gameplay or anything. I just, in my mind, RPG means it's a game with a story where choices matter and you can make your character and blah, blah, blah. But I guess most people would probably associate it more with like, I don't know, becoming encumbered when you pick up too many things and...
Yeah, that stuff is not great. Like, this is why I don't want to replay Persona 3 at all, because I'm just like, I hate that gameplay. I think the Persona gameplay sucks.
You're playing, what are you playing, Tactica or something?
I did start playing Tactica.
How is that? Is that good? I like
it's okay. It's like
games.
Not as interesting as I kind of want it to be. I feel like it hasn't like clicked together mechanically what they want you to do.
You played Persona Q. You've played like all
Persona Q sucks. I hate Persona Q.
Did you play more than just the first one?
Oh, hell no. I didn't even beat the first one.
Okay.
Persona games, I wish had fun gameplay, but they don't. I'm sorry. You just do the same encounter, and then they make you do the same encounter like 10 more times.
Yeah. If they could change the gameplay. I just love the music so good. The
everything else is
style is so cool. Yeah.
They should let me play that game without having to do the combat.
Yeah.
Because the combat's not very good.
Or just a different method of without the dungeon crawler aspect, I guess. Without the like get to the top of Tartarus or whatever.
Yeah, more like I know it's like a meme of like games where you can like turn off the gameplay, but like honestly, they should let me turn off the gameplay for that because it's not good. To spend hours doing that, it kind of sucks. Just let me beat every enemy one time and then that's it.
Do you remember that game, Catherine, I lent you?
Yeah, that game owns.
Okay, because I lent it to you, and then you had told me that you had dreams about it.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh my god, I had dreams about the block shifting as well.
I had like the Tetris effect from it. Like I played, they did like a re-release, like they did
full body.
And like I don't know if they did some stuff in there, and they changed. They made listen. Atlas has some stuff going on with LGBTQ representation, and like trans folk and all this other stuff that bad. Oh yeah, also women, not that great. But moving blocks around and climbing a tower is an excellent gameplay decision, and the gameplay in that game rules, even if the story doesn't hold up for me.
Nope.
Upon a second playthrough.
I know, because that's who's doing Persona as well, Atlas.
Like the opposite. I have the opposite experience where it's like, I don't really want to experience
I like the gameplay, but not
the gameplay. Let me climb some blocks. Hell yeah.
The blocks, the Persona gameplay.
Oh my god, that would be so good if they replaced
combat could just be like a puzzle thing or something.
Oh,
that would be better.
This is why, like, the visual novel, like, this is why I like Zero Escape and Danganronpa. Because, like, what if you just did some, like, goofy little puzzles? Or, like, even Professor Layton. Do some little puzzles. Are they good puzzles? Not really.
I suck at
they're
puzzles.
Kind of fun.
I had to look up puzzles answers. See, I think we're great. I'm glad we started a podcast together. We're very
we're
similar,
having a great time,
but also have very different takes on things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, yeah.
We'll need to schedule some like playthroughs of a thing together, podcast special, let's plays or something.
Okay,
we don't have to do that, but I do like the idea of like we could pre-record it and just like talk over it.
Okay, that's cool. That would be cool.
You don't have to worry about like playing and talking at the same time, which it feels
I suck at that.
Every time I streamed.
If I talk,
it sounds so hard.
And play, that means I'm gonna play like garbage.
I don't know how you do it.
Well, I'm not. Let's see. I don't play that many games that are skill based. Maybe. I don't know. I gotta start picking it up. Dragon's Dogma 2 and Horizon Zero Dawn come out this week.
Oh, I gotta play one. I gotta play Dragon's Dogma 1. I'm doing it when I come back from Vegas.
No, don't do that.
I'm gonna. Too bad. I already bought it.
No, don't do that. Ugh. I tried to play Dragon's Dogma.
Let's go.
When it first came out.
Play of it.
And it has shitty, like, horrible fast travel.
Oh, yeah.
That's hard to do. So, like, it's a nightmare and I don't want to play it.
Can't wait for that jank. Let's go.
Yeah. Dragon's Dogma 2 hopefully fixes that.
I've heard it's good. Well, if you enjoyed this episode of Angelic Lair, where we watched the best episode of the show, please
so far.
rate us 5 stars on your podcast platform of choice. And like leave a comment or like participate in a poll or whatever else we got going on the thing. If you have questions or comments about the show you want to send to us, you can send it to our email account at
shojopod@gmail.com, spelled the same as the title of the podcast.
So send that stuff there and we will get back to you.
Maybe. That sounds promising.
But if you ask us something dumb, I'm not going to respond. Sorry.
If you say something mean, we might trash you on the podcast.
Number, I'm not giving it to you. You tell me about the hot singles in my area, I'm not going to care.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, well, we hope you win big at Vegas. And
always.
Yeah. And I have to restrain myself from watching the next episodes.
All right. Next time we will be back with episodes 15 and 16.
And 16. Yep. So look forward to it. Bye-bye. Peace out.
See ya. Don't hand Blanche over to Misaki either. Come on, stop handing your doll over to other people.
Nothing.
Please listen. If you can't fund your research by getting grants, have you considered starting a toy company with the technology that you've developed? Because maybe there's something there.
I just realized something. Sister Caitlin, if you're listening, I want you to know that when you pinched me yesterday on St. Patrick's Day, I literally have bruises on my arm from your pinch.
What?
Just so you know. I just noticed it on my arm. I was like, oh, damn.
Oh, my God. This is going to be the
So now everyone's going to know my sister's a monster. And
throw that on bonus content.
Take that. Oh, dear. Okay.